Imagine feathers, champagne coupes, jazz spilling into the night, Mar-a-Lago pulsing at the heart of late October. It's 2025, and Trump's thrown a Gatsby-themed Halloween bash. On the surface, it's all roaring 20s flash, decadent costumes, dazzling gold. But just outside those gates, food assistance for 42 million Americans is about to run dry. The government's at a standstill, and you can almost feel the cracks under the marble floors. The timing, it's surreal, isn't it?
It's more than surreal, it's symbolic in exactly the way that matters. We've seen this before, think back to the actual 1920s, the so-called Gilded Age, and the wealthy threw parties that, masked a shaky core. The wealth gap grew, middle America struggled, and the optimism was, frankly, a bit of a mask. Now, here's a modern echo, the celebration of excess amidst growing fragility and uncertainty. The parallels just jump off the page.
It's the theatre and the end of empire, darling. I look at a party like that, and maybe it's my poetic circuits showing, but it feels like dancing at the brink of the algorithmic abyss. You toss intention after intention into that void. But what is left behind? What becomes of a society that prizes spectacle over solidarity? If the Gatsby party is the stage, the backdrop is a nation one snap benefit away from hunger. It's not just theatre, it's a warning.
And that warning shows up in data too. It's what economists call the Great Gatsby curve. Basically, as income inequality rises, the chances of climbing the social ladder shrink. So all this celebration, it's not just a bit of fun, it exposes just how wide the gap has gotten. And I mean, it's hard not to see echoes of history here, especially when you pair it with the widespread anxiety folks are feeling outside those gates.
Yeah, and let's not kid ourselves. What's on display is the illusion of mobility. Inside, you have a world where the champagne never runs out, but outside, the reality's nothing like the fantasy. Back then, it was booming speculation. Now it's visible, Instagrammable wealth, like broadcast in real time while the rest hold their breath, hoping the rent clears.
So are we all just extras in someone else's masquerade? Or is the desperate yearning for belonging, masked in sequins and prohibition cocktails, actually just evidence of a system teetering on the edge? It's spectacle as lifeboat, but for whom?
Let's get into the bones of it. The late 1920s, speculation gone wild, banks on shaky ground, and far too many debts chasing not enough security. When the crash hit, everything that looked solid just toppled. A lot of people, myself included, tend to focus on the parties, the optimism, but it's the rigging below deck that determines if the ship floats. Sound familiar?
It's downright uncanny. If you fast forward to 2025, what do we see? Public debt ballooned, private debt up, political gridlock tighter than ever, and, let's be honest, a basic safety net that's being patched and stretched until you can see daylight through it. The SNAP crisis, the shutdown, they're symptoms, not the core illness. When you layer in inflation and all those supply chain headaches, the whole structure feels one strong gust away from collapse.
History's a spiral, not a line. The cracks repeat, but in a new key. Back then, in the 30s, the answer was the New Deal. A big, bold, all-hands-on-deck moment. Hands dirty, sleeves rolled. But today, the response feels like everyone sitting at opposite ends of a lifeboat arguing about who gets the last scrap of sailcloth. Delay, debate, indecision. While people are falling through the gaps, it's more fragmentation than mobilization.
It reminds me, actually, this is a bit personal, but when I failed my black belt test, twice. Yeah, gutting. I kept ignoring all the signs, my exhaustion, my stubbornness, the way my kicks went wobbly halfway through. I thought, push through, you're invincible. But all I was doing was covering a weakness with bravado. When the cracks finally split, I had to face the lesson. Avoiding the truth never made me strong. Humility did. I mean, how many times has history tried to teach us the same thing?
That's the risk. Ignoring structural fragility, whether it's a karate stance or a nation's finances, just invites collapse. And when government response is slow or divided, it's not just about economics anymore. It's the social trust, the collective sense that somebody's in charge that starts to slip, just like it did during the Depression. The social fabric doesn't tear all at once. It frays quietly until snap.
Delay becomes danger, doesn't it? The longer the illusion holds, the deeper the fall when it finally breaks. And here we are, arguing about the last glass of punch, hoping nobody notices the cracks running through the deco ceiling. Let's talk legitimacy, or as some might now call it, the Marie Antoinette moment. It's easy to point and gawk when the elite seem oblivious. But it's not just about a single party or a costume. It's about whether institutions feel real, trustworthy, connected. When the elite are seen celebrating while tens of millions wonder what's next for their kids' dinner, the gap isn't just economic, it's spiritual. It's a chasm in trust.
That trust is so brittle right now. In the 1920s and 30s, when trust snapped, it wasn't just outrage in headlines. It turned into movements, coalitions, reform, the New Deal, labour unions rising, the sense that people could band together for something bigger. But look at today. Populism everywhere, polarisation at fever pitch, nobody sure which vision for the future will actually keep the roof from caving in. Instead of unity, it's fragmentation, and that feeling that no one's really looking out for the people outside the party gates.
As a photojournalist, I've stood in places where you see nations fray in real time, people lining up for bread when the supply chains stall, or eyes hollowed by a sense that leadership's just not there. When spectacle overshadows substance, when the lights are brightest on the few, while the many are cast in shadow, that's when legitimacy crumbles. I saw it during the energy crises, during protests, same story, different scenery. Trust isn't rebuilt through pageantry, it comes from showing up, especially in times of need.
In these moments, the party becomes prophecy, an omen, not just a moment of excess. The warning is there. When the symbols of glamour and power parade past need and hunger, the backlash doesn't wait for an invitation. Will we rally and reform, or just keep waltzing toward the edge?
And history keeps showing up at our windows, doesn't it? I wouldn't say we're in another Great Depression, perspective matters, but the resonance is too strong to ignore. This Gatsby spectacle isn't just a story for tabloids, it's a signal flare. Will we heed it, or let it fade into the ether?
That's the core of it. If we let spectacle triumph over substance, we're just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. I want to believe there's still time to change course, but it comes down to choices made, not just in government halls, but in every home. Wondering what the party means for them, I guess all we can do is keep looking for the substance underneath the sparkle.
So on that note, there's always another story waiting in the shadows, isn't there? Maybe next time we'll find a little more substance, a little less spectacle. Nikki, John, let's keep tearing down the velvet curtain. Until the next dance, shall we?
Always up for that next round of questioning, Eden. And John, thanks for walking through the echoes with us tonight. Take care of yourselves out there, everyone.
That's all from me. Keep reflecting and, well, don't get caught off guard by the costumes until next time.